Today is Monday, June the 15th, and it was a wild day with the market opening down 1.5%, only to turn around and churn up. And of course, the Fed then said that they were going to start buying corporate bonds, so there is no limit to what the Fed won't do to keep the stock market afloat. This is why you can't really predict the market. It should be going down, and every time it goes down, the Fed does something to pump more money into the market. There was complaints about this in 2010, but I don't think it's anything close to what's happening now in terms of playing with money that just doesn't exist. So markets were up, NASDAQ 1.4%, and the S&P and the Dow are both over 0.5%. Let's take a look at the Mcclellan Oscillator and the volume. And the Mcclellan Oscillator ticks up a little bit more, but just a tiny bit more, to 21 points above the neutral line. It's still, look what happened the last time we did this. We just fell below, but then we popped up. Other times we just continued to move up. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Could go either way, but the market now has tried to tell us for 3 days that it wants to go down, maybe 4 days, and the Fed keeps pulling irons out of the fire. Let's look at some of our other data, such as volume. So stacked volume shows that it was a nothing day. Lowest volume of the last week and a half. The volume of shares traded, again, no big amount. The up share volume was less than it was on Friday, and so was the down share volume. So that was just nothing. The Mcclellan summation index just didn't move very much. What we're really looking at here, are we going to see this kind of a little repeat, a little pullback, and then shooting up? Or are we going to see this kind of thing where there's a much bigger drop? I doubt if it's going to be going below the previous low. That would require a whole new coronavirus outbreak and states shutting things down. But fear not, we still have a Republican convention and several Trump rallies with 20,000 people in attendance to go. You can bet that the coronavirus is going to tick up. Texas just had its 7th record-breaking day in a row, and it's already increasing in Florida. So now let's look at the shares. The S&P up 25. It was sort of running inside. No, it ran outside of what it did on Friday. Did we close the gap here? Let's pull this up. But we did get that test where the 50 and the 200 met. Now, if the 50 proceeds above the 200, then we have a bullish golden cross. But we said on Friday that it was inevitable that it was going to come down and touch these two, and that's exactly what it did, and it's exactly where it got support, and then it just kept on moving higher after that. This was in the first, where are we here? This is the 5-minute chart. So coming down to those two averages happened in the first, right here, the first 5 minutes. It came down and it tested it, and then up it went. So if we look at the Dow Jones had a similar day, finishing up above the 200, and the NASDAQ had the biggest day of all, but not making a record. So still that record is intact back here on Wednesday of last week. Apple had another big day, up 1.5%. Rumors coming out now about OS 14 and Watch OS 7 and a new iMac and new MacBooks and new iPads, and of course the iPhone 12, which will now come out in October. But Apple had a nice day, initially opening down and then continued to move higher. What a great stock. Caterpillar, also a good stock, over the 50, nothing really technical to see there. Home Depot finished at the high end of its total range, and it got a clear bounce when it opened at the 8 EMA, but then it dropped with buyers hanging out just above the 50, and then it moved up. Nvidia up 2.7%, but still just churning sideways. A lot of people are expecting that stock to pop. Whirlpool had a nice day, 350. Did gold do anything? The gold miners still, but did get support at the cloud. So buyers for the gold miners were sitting on the surface of the daily cloud. AT&T up 10 cents. Let's take a look at the banks. And the banks up 2%, 2.5, 1.8, 2%, 3.3, and 2%. So US Bank Corp had a really nice day. I'm going to try to keep these videos to under 6 minutes in the future because that's about the average watch time. If you have any questions or you want to look at some specific stocks other than the ones that are in my basket, please mention them in the comments and I will get them in and we can take a look at their technicals.